Ladies and gentlemen, it is another episode of the FitBod Blueprint. As always, Coach Phil Pirtle, Coach Tyler, what's going on, man?
Well, not much, just ringing in the new year with my man Phil, which I'm pretty happy about. I mean, it is January 2nd, so not quite ringing in the new year, but we can still call it that.
I mean, in some places they're just waking up. So, some places they possibly even just going to bed right now. So maybe they're wrapping up ringing in the new year. You never know. So anyways, man, 2025 is here. We've got I always love the beginning of the year because I know it's cliche, but it's a fresh start. And I know this is the time of the year where a lot of people get frustrated, especially going to the gym, because they feel like, oh man, there's all these gym newbies and it's new year, new me. And I take the approach of, look, you never know who's still going to be around in like a month or 2 months. And by this time next year, now they're the ones getting frustrated with the newbies. And we've all been there before. So if you're someone that you're super seasoned and experienced in the gym and you're finding that frustration because, hey, maybe it's taking you longer to get onto the machine that you want, remember, at some point that was you too. Whether you started in January or you started in June, you were a newbie at some point too. And at the same time, if you're listening to this and you're going, man, I know I'm the new person in the gym. I don't feel super comfortable right now. It's a different environment. I feel like a fish out of water. Remember, just like I said, everyone started at some point. You belong there just as much as anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's, it's a good thing to remember. Like, we're all there for the same reason, right? We're all there to be a little bit healthier. We're all there to look a little bit better. Everyone's striving towards the same goal, right? So a little bit of patience and grace is never a bad thing, unless you're the guy who hopped on the leg press the other day right before me and then spent more time talking than actually lifting on the leg press. Then you're the wrong type of person.
100%. Like,
I was just fuming. I was like, dude, like, I could have finished my leg press before you even started.
So there's 3 leg presses at the gym that I go to. 4 if you count the vertical leg press, which this one is pretty darn sweet. But this is just me. I feel like I'm almost like Canadian level of considerate. You obviously be the judge. I don't stay in the leg press between my sets. I stand up and I'm like kind of looking around, because if I think that there's somebody that's waiting, I'm always like, hey, I'm going to be a little bit on my rest.
Yeah.
That's like, you want to hop in?
Yeah, that's fairly considerate. I think we can give you a Canadian sticker for that.
I at least get like, a cup of coffee at Tim Hortons for that, right? Maybe a nice,
yes,
maybe a
there
nice
you
donut.
go. There you go. Yeah. Although, I don't know if you want that coffee anymore. It's kind of gone downhill.
Oh man, so I feel like I missed the boat on it, just like I did, just like I did with Tamagotchis as a kid.
Yeah, you're always one step behind.
That's what I do. All right, so today we are throwing it back a little bit. So earlier in this podcast series, we did date, marry, eliminate, and we did compound movements, and we also did isolation movements. So we're going to do date, marry, eliminate, but this is going to be the supplement edition. So, hey, which ones actually deserve your commitment and which ones are just simply making your wallet lighter? So let's first kind of go over what exactly we mean. Date, this is a supplement that we would use occasionally or in very specific situations. Marry is the supplement that you commit to long term. You're like, that is the one for me till death do us part.
Yeah.
And eliminate is the one that we decide, this is overhyped. This is not necessary. It's not worth the cost. So let's go with what our 3 are. Tyler, would you care to do the big reveal?
Yes, the big reveal. So we've got creatine monohydrate, and maybe we can talk a little bit about the different kinds out there. Protein, so like your basic whey protein powder, and then we have a fat burner for our 3 that we're going to be talking about here today.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and kind of dive in. Let's explain what each one is. So Tyler, like you already alluded to, creatine, there's several different types, but the one that is the most studied, the most well-researched, I mean, we've got 70, 80 years of somewhere in there worth of creatine monohydrate being the one that has been so extensively studied. So that's the one that we're specifically talking about today. But let's go over what are the benefits of creatine monohydrate.
Yeah, I mean, essentially what it is going to allow you to do is recover quicker. In between your sets, it's going to allow you to recover much better on a day-to-day basis. It's going to allow you to just, lift a little bit more. It provides just a little bit more energy from just a biological perspective of turning over ATP and ADP a little bit better, a little bit more efficiently. And so really, without going into it too much, you're just going to get some better energy. You're going to be able to lift a little bit more and recover a little bit better while taking this.
Right. And some people will say, well, the con is that it causes water retention. Well, it's intramuscular water retention that you're seeing. And what that also does is another pro in the pro cons list. The other pro for creatine monohydrate is an aesthetics one. And now obviously you have to be a certain level of lean-ish to see this one, but it's going to make your muscles look fuller, which is going to create a much more aesthetically pleasing look. So like Tyler said, you're getting better recovery, you're getting better performance. One of the other interesting things for me about creatine is they're currently studying it for the cognitive benefits.
Yeah.
There's some emerging evidence, some that says yes, some that says no, some that says maybe. I mean, the truth is with science, it takes a long time for things to be considered fairly, hey, this is accepted. But I think it's interesting that they're studying it now for can it slow or possibly even prevent the onset of cognitive impairments, such as Alzheimer's, maybe even dementia. So I'm really loving this. They're also studying creatine whenever it comes to post-concussion syndrome, so any type of traumatic brain injury, which for me, that's very near and dear to my heart. I've had a lot of concussions between football, boxing, MMA. So I'm really fascinated with what the future is going to hold for creatine research for cognitive benefits, because we already know what it does for muscles and for performance.
Yeah.
So that takes us to our next supplement on this list, and that's going to be protein powders. Now, protein powder, I know some people are going to say, well, it's a food source. And I do agree. I do agree that it's a food source because it's a complete amino acid profile to make up protein, which has 4 calories per gram. And if we're talking about most protein powders are going to be between 20 to 30 grams of protein per serving, let's call it 25 meat in the middle. Just on protein alone, even for like a super, super lean, super pure protein, like say, an isolate, you're looking at least 100 calories. Yes, that's a food source. But with protein powder, kind of the biggest pro is if you're somebody that's struggling to get in your protein, or you just need a quick meal option, so like first thing in the morning or maybe immediately post-workout, this can be a really big game changer for a lot of people, especially those that are fairly new to tracking their nutrition. They're fairly new to training. A nice protein supplement that you like will absolutely make a difference in your intake.
Yeah. I mean, the convenience factor is probably the biggest pro. Put it in a little Ziploc bag, bringing it on an airplane. Like if you're traveling and it's going to be hard to maybe get your protein sources in, you can easily bring something with you. The convenience factor is bar none.
Right. And I'll add this one because I get people that maybe it's their first time traveling and bringing supplements. They're like, well, if I've got a vanilla, it's a white powdery substance in a bag. Yeah, they're going to check you, but they're just going to do one little sample. It's a little pinch. They do the little drops to see, does it react for a known narcotic?
Yeah.
Look, I literally can't tell you how many times I've gone through security at an airport with Ziploc bags of a white powder, whether it's my protein powder, my creatine, my pre-workout, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
So
one quick funny story there on that though. I was going through with like some pre-workout, and it tested for a common like ingredient in bombs.
No kidding.
Yeah, like it gets set off like something, and like so they obviously like pulled it. It wasn't like a big deal, But like, they're like, yeah, they told me, it was like, yeah, like this is kind of not a common ingredient, but like it was something about it. It was like, usually it can be in a bomb. It's like, okay, that's good to know.
Wow. Boy, how funny would it be? Do you remember in the America Labs line from Core Nutritionals?
Well, I
They
think
had,
it was a core nutritional free workout.
remember one of the America Labs one? I don't know if they still make it or not, was A-bomb.
Yes.
And it had like 500 milligrams of caffeine or 400,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
absurdly. How funny would it be if that was the one that tested positive? Like, hey, it's a company used in making
Yeah.
bomb.
I know. Yeah. I can't remember which one it was specifically, but it was a core nutritionals one. But yeah, just a little
So
side story there.
for me, I think about the only real con for protein, because I like to just think of, well, what's a pro, what's a con?
Yeah.
My only real con for a protein powder is if you're in a dieting phase and you're lower on calories, think about the time that it takes you to consume a protein shake. Like, hey, a minute, two
If
minutes if
that,
you kind of
yeah.
sip on it, like that's a quick amount of time to take in 25 grams of
Yeah.
protein versus, 5 ounces of chicken breast is going to be about 25, 30 grams of protein. You're going to sit down and you're going to chew your food, and it's going to actually take up volume instead of just part of it kind of
Yeah.
being, absorbed more so for hydration purposes, like with a shake. So for me, about the only negative could be if you're in a dieting phase, a protein powder could be replaced better, in my opinion, for something that's going to give you better satiety. And then that takes us to our final supplement, and that is fat burners. So, Tyler, what are they? What do they do?
I mean, kind of in the name, they're meant to be an extra fat burner. Yeah. I mean,
Allergenic agents.
yeah, like, and that's the thing is like if you go look at fat burners and you're probably gonna find a wide variety of ingredients in them. You'll probably find something like a CLA, right?
Caffeine.
You'll typically probably see a lot of caffeine as well, just because of its appetite suppressant. And there'll be claims like, oh, it'll spike the metabolism a little bit, but yeah, they're typically meant to help burn a little bit of extra body fat. But in terms of ingredients, like, you're probably going to see a pretty wide variety depending on what company you look at. You probably, like I said, see some common ones in a lot of them, but yeah, there is going to be a bit of a wide variety to those.
Yeah, and I think that for some people they can be pretty helpful. Whether that's just a matter of the caffeine maybe gives them a little extra energy to get through an early morning cardio session, or maybe the fat burner is giving them just a little bit of that appetite suppression. So with that being said, we've got our supplements laid out, and this one I'm really excited because whenever we were talking beforehand, I know we were kind of all over the place with the exercise selection because
Yeah.
training should have a component of what do you enjoy. Well, with supplements, it's a little bit more. It's a little bit more black and white. Okay,
Yeah.
and there's still a little bit of gray. There's still a little bit of color in there, but we were pretty excited about this. Is one that we agree on.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and go with which one are we dating? Tyler, you go first.
Well, I'm going right to protein. And it's pretty much for the reasons that we said. It's more of a convenience factor. So, maybe it's not necessarily something I'm taking every single day or always having in the house. Depending on, where things are at in terms of dieting or what have you. Obviously, nowadays, your meat proteins are getting a little bit more expensive. So maybe on that side of things, I'm having a bit more whey protein in the house just to kind of help. But yeah, it's just not something I'm going to need every single day. And I'm using it just based off of where my protein intake is or how busy my day might be or things like that. So that's the one I'm dating. And the one thing I did want to say when we were kind of going over the pros and cons a little bit on protein is one of the cons here, and this is kind of the supplement industry as a whole, is you're paying for what you get. So if you are buying a 5-pound bag of protein for $25 at Costco, there is a good chance that there is just a bunch of filler in it and you're actually not getting enough of a full amino acid profile where it is stimulating muscle protein synthesis. And so that is something that you do want to pay attention to when you are purchasing your protein, is that it is a high quality source and you should probably be paying about $45-50 a tub of protein. Like that's what I find tend to be like, you are actually getting what you want out of it. So that was just one other thing I wanted to throw on top of that so that people are
Absolutely.
aware.
Yeah. And for me, that's why protein powder is in my date slot, because there are a lot of companies out there that they just pump a bunch of leucine into their protein powder so this is called leucine spiking, where it's now going to falsely register that there's higher total protein than what there actually is. So for me, this one is in date for partially that reason of there are a lot of ones that are just absolute garbage for protein powders. There's also the consistency factor. Literally, like I'm a texture guy. So
Yeah.
if there's no excuse in 2025 for there to be a protein powder that comes out chunky, chalky, like no. There's too many advancements in the processing equipment used for these supplements for there to be anything that still comes out like you get that random clunk. Like, remember
Yeah.
back in the day the blender bottle came with that like little silver ball, or it would have like a mesh screen?
Oh
You
yeah.
shouldn't need that anymore.
Yeah.
You should not need that with a quality protein powder. And like Tyler was saying, yeah, I find that 40 to 50 bucks for something that's got 40 to 50 servings, so roughly $1 to maybe like $1.25 per serving. If you're paying more than that, you're likely paying for marketing, for advertising. You're not getting that much higher of a quality. So definitely do your research on the protein company, but also be aware of the different types of protein. So
Yeah.
some of the more common ones. So whey is going to be the most common available. It's also 95% bioavailability in
Yeah.
humans. And you do get a little bit more with a whey isolate. I believe 98% bioavailability. I think the only thing that's more available is going to be protein from an egg white. But you look at an isolate, the other pro for that one, besides a little bit better bioavailability, is usually going to be if you're someone with a mild, maybe sensitivity to dairy or lactose, you can generally digest an isolate better. It's usually a lot more forgiving. Like my wife is, for the most part, lactose intolerant, and she can consume an isolate whey powder, no problem. But as soon as I give her a concentrated whey or a concentrated whey and ISO mix, there's going to be some issues.
Yeah.
Now, another common one is going to be a casein, which is a slower digesting protein. I do find that that's kind of the opposite of the isolates. If somebody has some dairy sensitivities, maybe a little mild dairy allergies, or you're lactose intolerant, that one is probably going to be a no-go for you. There's
You'll be
also,
going.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So there's also plant-based ones, which most of those are going to be a pea-based protein, which those have come a long way in terms of you're going to be able to still absorb and digest most of it, especially something like the core vegan where there's added digestive enzymes to it. And then you start getting into some of kind of the niche ones, like a beef, like grass-fed beef-based protein powder. It's expensive and it's like 80 or 85% bioavailable. So why am I going to spend like 30 to 50% more for something that I'm not getting as much bang for my buck? It's like you're
Yep.
literally taking both and you're doing that while doing this while raising the price up.
Yeah.
Quality and actual what you're getting goes down. And then there's also like collagen protein, which that's not a complete amino acid profile in most supplements unless it's had some whey added into the mix or something like that. Which, if you're taking collagen because you like the benefits for hair, skin, nails, cool. But just know that you probably want to just kind of count that the same way you would like a multivitamin or a fish oil. Like, it's a supplement. Don't count it in favor of your protein. Just kind of
Yeah.
take it. So
And there's
that's
probably
why.
some better things you could be doing anyways.
Exactly. And so between all that, and like I said, if you're in a cutting phase, protein powder, you'd be better off switching to food. But there is a purpose for it. There is a good point for it. So that's why I'm also putting protein powder in the date category. So next we've got Mary. Tyler, take her away.
Yep. Well, like we kind of mentioned, we're agreeing on all of these. So we're gonna go with the creatine monohydrate, and kind of for the benefits that we talked about. Like there really is just no negatives, and in the world of supplements, it kind of stands alone in terms of like how much you get out of it. Like there is a significant difference in the research. If we're looking at like p values and whatnot, like you are gonna see between the placebo and the creatine group, right? Like there is going to be that difference in terms of what you're going to get out of it. And for us who are always going to be looking for that edge, right? And just that little bit extra that we can get, I don't think you can really bypass this one. And then we talk about, the potential health benefits in terms of, brain health that might be coming out here over the next few years. It's a supplement that you're always going to want to have. It's, the prices have gone up over the years, but it's still a relatively, cheap supplement, and the quality, like you don't necessarily have to worry about it when we were talking about, protein, right? And you don't need a lot. Right. And I think we should talk about like, do I need to do a loading phase
Can I
or
take
not?
this one? Can I take this one?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
So the loading phase, like this is so old school, and this is
like the marketing.
It is so debunked. Okay. And let me explain this. Whether you're loading creatine or not, what you're trying to accomplish is that your muscles become saturated. Okay. That's what they're trying to do. And the idea behind the loading phase is, well, it's going to saturate your muscles quicker. It doesn't saturate it that much quicker. We're talking like a day. Okay.
Yeah.
And let's think about so now you can start getting into like the marketing side of things, and you have to know your customer, you have to know your consumer, and you have to know not just their psychology, but you have to know what drives them. So you have to almost get into more like the psychographics rather than the demographics, right? So think about who is creatine traditionally. Now, I'm saying everyone should take it. I mean, I want my 79-year-old father-in-law taking this every day. But traditionally, it's marketed towards bodybuilders, which are notorious for, well, if a little bit helps me a good amount will help me a better amount. Yeah. And if good is great, then if I take a lot of it, it's going to be the absolute best is best. So what bodybuilders used to do was do the loading phase. So they would do typically like, loading phase might have been between 15 and 20 grams for a week, right?
Yeah.
And the idea was that, okay, you do a load for a week, then you run maintenance for 3 weeks, and then you come off completely for 2 to 4 weeks. That was what was recommended. Well, bodybuilders, this is going back to like early 2000, like early to mid 2000. That 15-gram loading phase was just what they ran. What ends up happening?
Yeah.
You're doing literally 3 times the dose, which the dose is 5 grams. 3 to 5 grams is what is scientifically proven that this is the ideal amount. This is what you can take safely. You're not going to have any adverse effects, but you can take just a standard dose of 3 to 5 grams and be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And the idea was after the loading phase, you go to that standard dose, but what bodybuilders were doing was they were sticking with that 3x amount for the entire time that they're supposed to run it. And then 4 weeks, oops, I ran it for 8. What ends up happening is you run through the product that much quicker. You're running through it literally 3 times faster than what you should. So this ends up resulting in you run out of the tub sooner. This results in you end up having to buy more and more and more. So they knew that they could increase essentially how much you're spending, and you're buying it more frequently, thus they're making more money. And if you've never looked into the profit margins on supplements, be prepared to see just an absolute insane markup. What it costs someone to make a supplement is less than 1/100th of what you're paying. It is insane. And that's even for quality stuff. You can get even cheaper, and now you've got 1,000% markup. Like the supplement industry as a whole, like there's good, there's bad. But with creatine, like I'm going to try to stay on topic here. That loading phase, that is something that I don't know how this idea of a loading phase for creatine hasn't died the death that it deserves.
I
It
know.
just kind of keeps kicking around like a cockroach after a nuclear apocalypse, but you do not need a loading phase
Yeah.
whatsoever. 3 to 5 grams per day. And about the only, I'll end my soapbox here. The only other thing to keep in mind, some people will start working out and they start taking creatine, and then they go to their doctor and they do their annual blood work, and a
Yeah.
blood marker called creatinine, not creatine, creatinine, will come back elevated. And as soon as they tell the doctor they're taking creatine, the doctor goes, oh, well, that's why the creatinine levels are up. Pause for the cause. The reason why your creatinine levels are up are probably because you worked out within 72 hours of taking your blood draw. And what that ends up happening is you have the little tiny muscle particles essentially going through your bloodstream. That's now raising up the amount of protein in your bloodstream. Thus, you have higher and elevated creatinine levels because you train. I went through it. I remember the first time that I got blood work done, where like I actually paid attention to it, and I was like, oh my God, my kidneys are shutting down. I'm
Yeah.
going through
Yeah.
renal failure. I'm gonna have to have dialysis. And my doctor, luckily, who's a pretty avid athlete, he goes, you work out. Did you work out before you did this? I said, I literally did this after the gym. He goes, you picked the worst possible time that you could have done blood work,
Yeah.
but hey, I was 19. He goes,
Yeah.
look, just take a break for 3 days, get your blood work drawn again. It's going to be fine. Sure enough, bam, everything came back fine. Like my EGFR was back to being normal instead of being in like the 50s. It was back over 100. My creatinine levels were back to where they should be. So understand there is a difference. Just because the two words look similar, it is very easy to confuse and want to correlate them together, but they are two very different things.
Yeah. And we should quick note, timing doesn't matter, right? So you can take it whenever. Take it when you are just going to remember. So for myself, that's either in my pre-workout on my way to the gym or in like my post-workout shake, right? Or if I'm doing like a smoothie in the morning with my protein and a banana, I'll throw it in there. And then what was the other? I also get the question a lot, should I keep taking it in a fat loss phase? Yes.
Yes.
Don't worry about water retention. It's not going to mess with fat loss, blah, blah, blah. You're going to be fine.
Right. So think about it like this. If your muscles are now a little bit fuller, let's say you gained 3 pounds of water weight from introducing creatine, that's just water. You're running in a calorie deficit. Your body is going to still be burning body fat. So now you're in a calorie deficit. You're losing body fat and your muscles look more full. That's what we're all after, I think, right? Like, I mean, obviously keeping in good health too, but who doesn't want to be a little bit more muscular and a little bit leaner? That's always my goal year over year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the only other thing, just since you brought it up, should you take a break from it at any point? And the answer is you don't need to. Don't get me wrong. I don't anymore, unless I'm actively pursuing a goal and I'm super, super close to it. I don't bother taking it with me on vacation. Missing it
Yeah.
for a week, not going to be the end of the world. If I'm just traveling for 2 or 3 days, just a quick little trip, not the end of the world. But I also work remotely. I don't really travel a whole lot. So it's not like you need to go, okay, 4 weeks on, take 4 weeks off. No, you can run it theoretically 52 weeks out of the year. But if you miss a dose or you decide, hey, I'm going to go to Hong Kong for a month, like, yeah, man, missing it for a little bit's not going to be the end of the world. But the longer that you're off of it, the less saturated your muscles are. So just mentally be prepared that if you're off it for more than a couple of weeks, yeah, you're probably going to see like a pound or two of water retention. But again, it's just simply making your muscles look fuller. And yeah, another point for the scale isn't the end all be all, but we won't get off on that tangent today.
No, that's for a different day.
And then our final one, we come to eliminate. So we decided it's fun to hang around with protein, but not necessarily the one. We have decided creatine is who we are settling down with. We're having a family. We're buying a house. We're syncing up our bank accounts with creatine. Like creatine is just it.
Yeah.
That leaves eliminate, which leaves fat burners.
Just not necessary. Like there isn't going to be any significant difference. Like it just like we talked about how, 99.9% of supplements out there just do not do what they claim they do, right? And so this is going to fall in that category. Yes, okay, if you've got maybe a bunch of extra cash and you like the appetite suppressant effect of it, or you like how it makes you sweat a little bit more during a workout, then okay, fine. If you want to spend your money on that, by all means, go for it, right? But at the end of the day, you are just lightening your wallet. That's all that it's doing. You're losing more money than you are fat with it, right? Like, let's put it that way. So it's just not something that is going to be necessary. Like, you're going to be better off focusing on your recovery. You're going to be better off, looking at your workouts of like, all right, maybe am I doing too much volume for how lean I am, for how much I'm recovering? Let's look at food selection, right? Can we be a little bit better in terms of our meal timing, what we're consuming to help with appetite? I think also at a certain point, we just need to accept we're going to be hungry during a fat loss phase. Like, there's just nothing you can do about that. It's going to happen. But yeah, really, don't get me wrong. And I'm sure, Phil, you've been there as well. I've bought into the hype. A few years ago, I completely did a 180 on supplements in terms of how I viewed it and how I pushed it on to clients. I went from hey, buy to don't buy. And so that's what I've been for the last few years. So yeah, I don't really know what else you can say. Is you're wasting your money.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there are some people that they might benefit from it. Let's say you're somebody that you don't enjoy coffee, because they exist. There are people out there that they don't like coffee, or they don't like sodas, or they try to avoid any food dyes, right? Sure. A fat burner is going to traditionally have caffeine in it. It's going to give you a little extra energy. Cool. But again, a cup of coffee is a lot cheaper. I'm talking about buying it at home, obviously, not running through Starbucks and paying $9 or $10 for a small.
Yeah.
But if you're just looking for that boost of energy early in the morning, have a cup of coffee. If you are trying to get a little bit more sweat going, you probably have a hoodie that you could throw on at the gym.
Yeah.
So
nice
for me,
FitBod Institute hoodie.
Exactly. Go to fitbodinstitute.com, make a nice purchase. We do have merch. So what I find is just that everything that a fat burner does, something else already does it, and you probably already have it, or you have something that does it for a fraction of the cost. Now, again, if you absolutely go, you know what, I have one that I like. I like throwing it into my pre-workout. I don't mind the cost of it. It's not hurting you. Now, one thing I will say on that little note, be aware that some of them have flushing niacin in them. I can't remember which one it was. I remember it was a white bottle with red print and red label. I can't remember which one it was. This is going back at least 10, 12 years, somewhere in that time span. And I remember I was taking a fat burner, and it was marketed. I remember this was on commercials and everything, and you'd see them at the different conventions and shows and everything. And I remember one day as I'm heading out the door, I go, crap, I can't remember if I took that or not. I don't want to have my mid-morning crash. So I took it. And then it was about 10 minutes later. So what the niacin does is it makes it almost look like you're sunburnt, especially if it's a flushing niacin makes it look like you're sunburnt. And it's like a very intense tingle sensation as well.
Yeah.
So whenever I say I'm driving and I start feeling it, I look in my rearview mirror and I see my face is strawberry red. And then I'm like, okay, it's kicking in hard. And then I realized, wait a minute, I had already taken it. I took a double serving.
Oh,
and
no.
I started I put my finger on my forehead, and I'm timing my pulse, and I'm like, my resting heart rate's usually upper 50s to mid 60s, and it's sitting at 90 right now.
Yeah.
I can just feel the sweat. I mean, don't get me wrong. It worked, but it also worked a little too well. And that admittedly was scary because I felt the palpitations of oh man, between this, a little bit of maybe some momentarily induced health anxiety as well.
Yeah.
I was like, I got to keep an eye on this. I need to probably just pull over, give this a few minutes, and 15 minutes passes by. I'm just hanging out in a Publix parking lot. And it passed. It was fine. But again, I look back on that experience and I go, man, I scared the snot out of myself for a completely unnecessary product.
Yes. Yeah, I know. That's whenever I go, like, if I'm like, did I take it or not? I go, you know what? I'm just going to assume I took it because I don't want to take a double dose. Yeah.
Yep. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And I don't care anymore what it is. That was my lesson learned. So
Yeah.
hey, take that away. If nothing else from this podcast, take that away. Everyone starts off somewhere. It's always a learning process. And if you think you know all the answers and that your opinion's never going to change, you're not as smart as you think you are.
Yeah.
So this was really good to go over, man.
Yeah.
Again, that's kind of the nice thing about supplements is you can look at peer-reviewed data. You can look at studies. You can look at things where there's a control or a double-blind control. You can see which ones worked, which ones didn't. And that's always my recommendation. If you're not working with a coach, if you're wondering, should I take this supplement? Look, you can always reach out to me or Tyler, right? Tyler _Weeb on Instagram, Pearl Coaching on Instagram for me. You can send us an email, whatever works best for you. Send a Raven if you're a fan of Game of Thrones. I don't know. But, if you are curious and you go, oh, I'm just going to figure this out on my own, PubMed.com, type in the supplement, type in the result that you're hoping for, and see if there's a study that comes back that shows any data on, hey, what are the effects of berberine on fat loss? Or what are the effects of HMG on muscle recovery? Like, you can search this stuff on PubMed. You can find, hey, this is what the science says, and now you can make your own decision for yourself.
Yeah.
So,
For even that, I believe ISSN, the International Society of Sports Nutrition, they have a lot of position stands. And so, like, essentially, these are meta-analyses that are taking essentially all of the studies. They kind of run it through a certain process and they kind of come up with an overall conclusion. They do have some great ones on supplements like HMB, beta-alanine, caffeine, whey protein, all of those things. So, if you don't want to maybe sift through individual research, you can just go to PubMed, type in ISSN, and you should then be able to sift through some of that and find ones on supplements as well.
perfect. Yeah, that is a great recommendation, man. So anyways, any questions on this stuff, feel free to reach out. Let's end with something simple. Tyler, give me your Mount Rushmore of musicians. I'm putting you on the spot.
Man,
We'll say musician / like band. Give me your Mount Rushmore.
about Rushmore. Is there 3 or 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore?
4, and of course I
Okay.
asked this to the Canadian. Use that dual
Man.
citizenship, Tyler.
Okay, okay, Rise Against.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Dance Gavin Dance. 3 Days Grace.
Yeah.
Man, what's another one? I listened to like more just songs, not like necessarily bands. What's a 4th one? I mean, Breaking Benjamin's pretty good. I gotta go there probably. Let's go with those 4 because then we're really gonna start taxing my brain.
Nice. That's a good list. That's a good insight into your musical taste as well, man.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So I guess
I'll
do mine. So for me, I'm going to work my way 4 down to 1. For me, number 4, I'm going to go with Queen.
Okay.
Best Friend was mine and Nikki's song at our wedding.
Yes.
So love Queen. Freddie Mercury was an amazing performer. And so there's number 4. Number 3, I got to also go a little classic kind of pioneers in their front, Metallica.
Okay.
I will never skip a Metallica song. I don't care which album it's off of. I absolutely love it. Number 2, I am from the South. I am as Southern as drinking sweet tea in a rocking chair on a front porch. I gotta go with Brooks and Dunn.
Okay. Yeah.
And my number 1, because it's instantly taking back the time spent with my dad, and that is going to be AC/DC. Didn't matter if we were working on a car, changing the oil, if we were doing a project in the house, didn't matter if we were working out. AC/DC, like 75% chance there was AC/DC being played. So there we go.
I love it.
All right. So once again, thank you all as always for listening. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe. If you leave a review, it does a lot to help us out, and it really just takes a second. So as always, thank you, and we will catch you all next week.
Bye.